things that Julep is known for is, the great community you've built around your products, particularly for women. Can you talk a little bit about that and your philosophy around that, as well as the fact that you bring out new designs at such a fast pace? Can you talk a little bit about your product development sort of strategy and how that works in your
and I don't know that it's right for everybody, right? Like, I am a very collaborative person, and everybody says they're collaborative. Like, in every job interview where I'm hiring for my team, we now have like 160 people. I can tell you that in the thousands of people that I've interviewed, not a single one has said, oh, you know what, I'm not very collaborative. Everybody says they're collaborative. But what is different about really being collaborative is that you have to be vulnerable and open. You have to bring your idea to the table, but then really be willing, if somebody has a build on it or has a better perspective or can show you why it's wrong, you have to be open to sort of thinking about that and absorbing it and doing that. Like, when you do that with the community of your customers, you're kind of doing it in public. So we've totally thrown ideas out there, so I think it did start with me, and that's who I am. If that's not who you are, then don't lean into that. But there's lots of things I do not well. That's one that I don't know if it's well or not well, but it's inherently part of who I am, and it's what I love about starting a company, is that I get to work with amazing people. For our online community, it was really sort of driven by that a lot, and our approach to rapid product development is that, hey, let's ask people what they want, and let's not be scared or secretive. Like, what if somebody steals the idea?
Right.
It's like, okay, if somebody steals the idea, I'll come up with something else. And that's happened a lot. Or if if this is a bad idea. If it's a bad idea, you kind of want to know sooner rather than later, right? Like, I want to know at the earliest possible instance. And I think it's helpful to realize 9 out of 10 ideas you have will be bad. So once you say that, then it's freeing, because literally, when something goes out and it turns out it's not a good idea, I'm like, oh, that's one of the 9. And you do another one, it's like, oh, that's another one of the 9. Okay, now my chances for finding that one are going up because I've gotten these other ones out of the way.
But how far into the development concept have you gone at that point? Or is it can you kind of describe how you share ideas with your customer base? Is it just saying, is it just posing a question, or is it specifically showing?
It's important to have a good
or?
Hypothesis, right?
Okay.
And it's not like you have to have a picture or anything. Sometimes it's talking about it, and you have to recognize that sometimes people can't articulate if we go out, and actually we've gone out and been like, hey, what beauty product do you think we should create? Totally useless question.
Yeah.
People are like, I want you to create a cream that makes me thinner and younger and blonder, and yeah, I don't have that cream. And it's not I'm not oh, great idea, I'm gonna go try to build that cream, right? So ask too open-ended a question, you get crap. So you have to ask the right question. So we were like, hey, one good example is we built a new way to polish your nails called the plie wand. It's an ergonomic wand that it's a small idea. It's like, hey, polish caps are short, and that makes it hard to polish your nails. Your pens, all the pens that you guys have are not that short, right? If you were writing with a golf pencil, it's really hard. The reason that pens are long and painter's brushes are long and surgeons aren't doing surgery on you with a little scalpel that short and they're trying to get all in there, is because the longer it is, the more space it has to rest in your hand. You have more ergonomic control. You also have the counterweight of gravity, the length of the utensil working with you. So anyway, we were watching people polish their nails and being everybody felt like they weren't good at it, and you have one of the barriers to people doing it themselves at home is that they feel like they're not good at it, and especially with your non-dominant hand, right? So now try doing surgery with a little tool with your left hand if you're right-handed, and it's hard. So we had a hypothesis around that, just customer behavior. We were starting with something on that product, and a lot of our products are like that, what's wrong with your lipstick today, and how do we solve that? And so, we just prototyped it like literally on day one. I took a polish brush and I stuck it on a ballpoint pen. Took the ballpoint part out of it, stuck it on there, like used it, had some friends use it, had had some customers use it. Like, so it's sort of how quickly can you get to like a crappy version of the idea that you have and like start sharing it with people. Like second one, like the second it's in my brain, I'm trying to find somebody to use it and test it with. And then, we did go out to customers and say like, hey, try these things. We found a partner, IDEO, who did a lot of the development with Apple to work with. We had to convince them like to work with us because, we're small and couldn't afford that much money. And then on day one when we showed up to kick off the project and we were talking about this, I was like, what is like not good is we're in the industry, we're too close to it, and you guys are all dudes. And so, it was like, how are we going to solve this problem? So we went on Facebook and we had 10 customers come in, and IDEO was like, that's crazy. Like, what if we come with an idea and like you want to patent it, and now you're inviting people in and you don't have a patent, like, and so. I think we had the confidence in our business model that we felt like we could launch it faster than anybody else, that we could get to an answer faster, so that helped. Like if you have a longer product development cycle than everybody else, then, it is trickier to be out there early with your ideas. But I think the biggest thing, I could say on all of this is that it's never too soon to start sharing. Like if you think like, oh, I should wait until I can figure it out a little bit more, I can wait until I have a better prototype and it's not like this janky, weird pen with a paintbrush like on the other end of it.
So you can get a sense of the concept.
Yeah, you have to like just try to do the best you can to, to get input like right away. And you have to be not scared of people being like, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard, because lots of people will say that. And you have to say why, and like, oh, like maybe they have a reason. They're like, oh, because of this and this, and you're like, oh, right, like you're right, and that's a stupid idea, end of story. Or like, you're right, and I can solve that, like now you're a step down the road.
Right.
And so everything is like a little wise. Like if you're like, oh, I'm trying to like develop, like, I don't think anything was developed like whole cloth perfect. No inventor does that, right? Like the iPhone, whatever, electricity, Ben Franklin, like I don't think anything was ever conceptualized and launched with the first prototype perfectly. So if you're thinking that everything is iterative, then you can go out there and be like, okay, like here's what I think, what do you think? Like incorporate it or reject it, like here's now what I think, what do you think? Incorporate or reject. Right. And so, and it's more fun. I mean, I think you have to have like the strength to be open about it and vulnerable. Like, hey, it's embarrassing when you put something out there and people are like, that's really dumb. Right. I don't want that. But it's better to know it. Like, it's embarrassing is better than losing money.